Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phil Poggi, and on behalf of New Era and Pro Image Sports, I'm excited to bring you our virtual Q&A with Seattle Seahawks superstar wide receiver Tyler Lockett. We're going to have a lot of fun today, and we'd love for you to share your videos across all your channels so more people can join in the fun as well. Also, if you want to participate, feel free to post your comments, your favorite moments about Tyler and the Seahawks this season so far in the comment section. And lastly, be sure to visit Pro Image Sports to shop New Era, the official on-field cap of the NFL. And now the reason that we're all here, he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, attended Kansas State University, spent 4 years as a Wildcat and as a two-time All-American, drafted in the third round in 2015 by the Seattle Seahawks. Since 2015, he's amassed over 5,000 receiving yards and over 40 touchdowns. Simply one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Let's give it up for number 16, Tyler Lockett. Tyler, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Appreciate the introduction.
It's great to have you with us. We've got some fans that are going to join us here in a second. Tyler, they're going to ask you some questions. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to learn a little bit more about you, all right, and about what the fans want to know. So are you ready to get started?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So I want to kick us off, though, Tyler, all right? You've been in Seattle since 2015. What's your favorite part about Seattle?
I think my favorite part about Seattle is definitely Lake Washington. I think when you look at Lake Washington, first and foremost, Seattle is a diamond in the rough. I don't think anybody ever knew about Seattle. And then you start to really hear about it when you come to the team and you're like, wow, I see why people don't leave. And so just being able to get on the boat, getting on the jet skis, learning about the different islands and stuff that's down there. I mean, it's really cool. And then when you talk about the diversity here in Seattle with just the people, and it's like a college town. I mean, right now we're not doing so well, but it's like a college town and everybody loves the Seahawks.
Right. That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, we're ready to bring our first fan in. So let's welcome Damian. Damian, welcome. You're on with Tyler. Go ahead and ask your question. There's Damian.
Sorry about that. Hey, Tyler, how you doing?
Doing good. What's up, Damian?
Hey, man. Nice to meet you, bro.
Nice to meet you as well.
Awesome. So my question for you is, who or what inspired you to play in the NFL, and do you like playing in the NFL today?
And my question for you is, why do you have on a 49ers hat?
Damian, he noticed it. I told you he's observant.
I'm actually in the Bay Area. I don't own a Seahawks hat, and my team is playing tonight, so that's the only New Era hat I had.
Okay. Well, so you asked who inspired me to play?
Yes.
Well, I grew up in a sports family, so in a sports family, you kind of get thrown in there with the wolves. And so it's something that I've always done ever since I was a little kid. I played basketball, I played flag football, I played baseball, and even ran track. So I did a variety of different sports and stuff like that. And my dad and uncle went to the league. My mom was really good at basketball. And then I had, family that's also played different level of sports too. So it was just something I always did. Being able to watch my family, being able to watch my dad and my uncle succeed, and being able to play in the NFL, and my uncle played in the Canadian Football League as well. I think it's just something that kind of snuck up upon me whenever I got a scholarship to go to Kansas State. Then all of a sudden I turn around and now I get drafted. Inspiration, I would say, my faith in God. That's my biggest inspiration, my motivation of why I play. There's other reasons of why I play too. Just representing my hometown, being able to be a light just different things like that. But it's really amazing just to be able to play. You just got to be able to separate the politic aspect of the business in football from why you actually play.
Right.
That's great. Damian, thank you. Great question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Damian.
All right.
You too. Go Hawks.
There we go. That's awesome. Great question there by Damian. Next up, Tyler, we've got Alex. Alex, welcome. You're on with Tyler.
What up, Alex?
My question is there a coach or athlete that you look up to as a role model? And if there is, why?
Good question.
If there's a coach or an athlete that I look up to, well, I would say, Alex, it's not just one. I would say like the biggest thing that I've learned is to be able to learn from each and every person that I come across, because there's something that anybody can teach you. And so you can't act like you know more than somebody else. And so even if I'm a NFL receiver, I'll still listen to a college receiver if I needed to be able to see like what's good about their game and how can they master their craft, and seeing if I could take bits and pieces of their game to fit into mine. And there's times where I watch coaches and how they dissect plays or how they scout different teams and players. And you kind of see that and you kind of try to take those bits and pieces from what they do to see how you can utilize that in your own game too. So I think for me, it's being able to try to learn from everyone and not just being able to just try to watch one person.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Alex.
It's awesome.
What hat you got on?
Yeah,
I have an LA Dodgers hat.
Okay. I approve.
We're 0 for 2 so far, but thanks, Alex. We appreciate it. That's a great question. Tyler, I think we'll be okay with the next one. We've got Mark coming in, and I'm looking straight at Mark, and he's got the right hat on. Finally.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Mark, welcome.
Hi, Tyler. I actually got this hat for Veterans Day. But my question is from my 5th grade class. They would like to know which football team was the most difficult to play against.
I would say the Packers was probably the most difficult team that we've had to play against. They had a really great defense, had a really great scheme. They did a great job at what they do. And I think if we can say anything to your 5th grade class, giving advice, I would say focus on what you are good at and try to be the best that you can at doing the thing that you're good at as much as you possibly can. Because if you can be great at what you do, then it will help you in the future and your future will thank you for it.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Mark. Go Hawks. That's what I'm talking about.
Go Hawks.
We're going to turn it around.
That's right. Thanks, Mark, again. And thank you. I heard you say Veterans Day, and thank you for your service. We appreciate that. So Enjoy that 5th grade class. So awesome. Great question, Mark. All right, Tyler, we got another one. We got Owen. He's got the right cap on. Owen, what's going on?
What up, Owen?
Hello, Tyler. So one thing I gotta say, we're best friends with Eric Kennedy.
Okay.
And then our question is, what do you do at your free time at home?
So my free time at home. Well, before I answer, Owen, what do you think I do?
Practice football.
Whoa. So when I go home away from football, it depends. Sometimes I play video games. Sometimes I watch TV. I watch movies. If we're not in the football season, then that's where I have fun. That's where I get to get on the bike or the golf carts, different stuff like that. Go to parks, be around family and friends. I try to get away from football as much as I can until it's actually time for me to get started again. But I really love real estate. I like houses and different stuff like that. And so I just started a company with that with my mom. So those are the type of things that I like to do outside of football.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, Owen. I like the hat too, man.
Thank you.
It looks good. It's good. Thanks, Owen. That was awesome. So Tyler, he brought up, what you do kind of in your free time. And I know 2019 was a big year for you, right? You published your first book, basically, Reflections, right? A book of poems. Talk about that for a little bit, and where your love for poetry came from.
Yeah, well, it came from this group called P4CM, which was like Passion for Christ movement. I didn't really know it was poetry until I kept hearing rhyme after rhyme, and I stopped and listened to it. I think it's really cool because I tried it after I heard this guy named Cardinus do it. Does anybody know that you're a Christian? And so at that point, I was like, let me try this. And, when you first try some stuff, it's but the more and more that I was able to do it, the more I got a lot better. And it's almost like being able to tell a story. And you could tell whatever story you want without people interrupting you. They're forced to listen to you and kind of see what you see and how you speak it whenever you're up there performing or even when they're reading your book.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great stuff out there. So, hey, we got Mike joining us here. Mike, welcome. You're on with Tyler.
Thank you. Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
It's going great. How about you, Mike?
Good. I'm up here in Canada, and I was wondering if you've ever visited Canada to visit your Northern 12s.
Oh, yeah. What part of Canada are you in?
British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver.
Yeah, see, I love Vancouver. I've gone up there a couple of times. So I like going to Cactus Club out there. Where else have we gone that was out there? I think Cactus Club was one of the, it's a restaurant that's out there that I really liked. Usually I stay downtown. I really like it a lot though. Honestly, the people are amazing. I really like just being there. It reminds you of Seattle, but it reminds you of Miami, if that makes sense. Like the reason, because it's literally all around water, but it looks really, 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 really nice to where you would think you're in Miami if you were in the United States. But one of the places I do want to go is Whistler Park. It's called Whistler, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's one of the places I definitely want to go to is Whistler. But, in my contract, I'm not really supposed to snowboard or ski. So I kind of got to figure out how to get around that. I just got to make sure I don't get hurt. But I also haven't hiked yet when it comes to that. But I've definitely been around a lot of great places out there in Vancouver, Canada. I do enjoy it a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mike. Great question. And, hey, Tyler, he mentioned the 12s. And I got to ask, last season was interesting. What's it like having fans now back in the in the stadiums again?
Oh, I mean, it's great, man. When you see what it's like to be able to play without fans or just a little bit of fans, you sit there and you're just kind of like, this feels like practice. But you really get to see who needs motivation and who needs the fans to be able to play at their best and who doesn't need a crowd at all. And so I think that's one of the best parts that came with not being able to have fans. But the other cool part, too, that I think Mike can attest to is they just now opened up the Canada border again. So I know that we got a lot of different, we got a lot of Canadians that are able to come to the games because there's a lot of season ticket holders down there. So now they're able to come to the 12 games, too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Best fans in the land for sure. Mike, thanks again. We appreciate it. All right, next up, we've got Benjamin. Benjamin, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hi. Hey, Tyler. I wanted to follow up with what Owen had asked you about. Outside of your charities and outreach programs, what do you do for your pastimes and hobbies?
So depending on who I'm doing it with, one of the things I did was I brought my girl with me and we did disc golf, and that didn't work out too good. I told her to aim all the way from the creek and she still threw it in the creek. So, and with disc golf, it's probably about 9 to 18 holes, depending on where you go. And I think we got to about 3 or 4 and we were in Texas and she was like, it's hot, I'm ready to go. And so can't really do, that much. But I think for me though, like I said, I really enjoy the housing market, but I also really enjoy hanging out with my friends. And so there's a lot of great restaurants there that kind of turn into lounges where you can kind of kick your feet up and just be able to hang out. stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, usually I go on family trips, try to be around my family as much as I can, especially during this time of COVID, because it kind of taught you that doesn't matter what your profession is or what you do for work. What really matters is the relationships. Absolutely. And, so it really was an eye opener for me, because that's something that I realized that's what makes everything go, is the relationships. There's no companies without relationships. There's no marriages without relationships. There's nothing without relationships. And so that's the one thing that I definitely wanted to be able to focus on when it comes to the off season. Now, when it comes to hobbies, I like to do other stuff as well, or try to pick up new things. I don't know about the hiking that I talked about earlier. I tried that once at Cougar Mountain in Seattle, and I was nervous because I'm like, I think I see a bear everywhere I look, but I mean, I'm open to just, kind of doing anything and everything. I did fishing during the COVID process. I'm not touching the bass or the, the what's it called, perks. I'm not touching the perch or the bass, but I'll catch them.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Awesome. Thanks, Benjamin.
Appreciate it. So, hey, just quick follow up on that. What, Tyler? Obviously, I know you get to travel a lot. He asked you about outside hobbies. What's your favorite place that you've visited?
I would have to say, I've always told people the best place I've ever been was to Canada.
Okay.
If I had to pick somewhere else besides there, I would probably say Hawaii, because and that's I got to go to Hawaii when I made it to Pro Bowl, and when I went down there, I got to bring my best friend that I grew up with, and he was at K-State with me. And so I got to bring him, and it was just really, really cool to be able to go down there to Hawaii, see what it was like. Yeah. And I was just like, we went snorkeling. We did different stuff like that. Yeah. But I mean, swimming in the ocean is a little scary for me.
Yeah, no, I bet. So, hey, next up, another fan out there is Aldair. Aldair, welcome. You're on with Tyler. Thanks for being here. Good looking hat too. Got a good looking hat.
Thank you.
What up, Aldair?
Hey, Tyler, how we doing today?
Doing good. We need to get the other guy who had the 49ers hat, that same hat.
I know.
He can rep the red saying it's the 49ers, but it just had the Seahawks logo.
That's right.
Exactly. So for my question for you is going to be, from the beginning of your career to the present, how has football changed you, and who was there every step of the way?
Yeah, well, I would say my family and friends have always been there with me every step of the way, as well as, a couple of teammates. You find a couple of teammates each and every year, because through the transition of business, everything changes. And so being able to have those friends, like I said, the relationships, it makes everything that much more easier, especially for me. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from from past to present, is just in this game of football, the way that they create gambling off of it and fantasy football off of it. And people compare fantasy football to, they think that determines how great of a season you had. And it's not your stats or anything like that. But the biggest thing that you learn is how to be mentally strong and confident within yourself, because you have so many people telling you what type of player you are, that you're not good, all the people that's not even playing. And so it teaches you to be mentally strong, because people don't understand the business side of football, about how there's politics involved in football, just like there's politics in anything else. And sometimes the best people don't stay on the team. Sometimes the best people don't even make the team. And so sometimes you get caught up in just being an extra number, and you never get a chance to play. And some people do get a chance to play. And so for me, with everything that I've experienced and gone through, I've just enjoyed the fact that I've always tried to stay true to myself and that I've always tried to continue to play at the highest level that I could, and just thankful for the opportunities and chances that I have gotten to be able to see how great that I could really be.
Oh, thank you, Tyler. Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, no problem out there.
Thanks out there. It's great. Tyler, we're going to bring in Miles now. Miles, again, we got a string of hats now. Now we figured this out. We got a string of hats. We got the right hats on. Miles is definitely a fan. Miles, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Tyler?
Doing good, Miles.
I just want to say thank you for doing this, and it's nice to meet you.
Oh, it's nice meeting you too, and no problem, man. You got what's your question?
What inspires you on the field and what inspires you off?
So I think the thing that inspires me on the field is, I already said my faith in God. I think the other thing that inspires me is I get a chance to really see how where I'm at based off of every person that I have to line up against. And so when you talk about the NFL, you're talking about having the opportunity to go against some of the best defensive backs that are in the game of football. And so when you see at the end of the season that people put you in a top 100 and they say that you're good and all this type of stuff, it allows you to be able to see how far you can really take this game and how great that you could really be. So that's definitely something that inspires me, because I really get to see how far I can take it. And, off the field, I think there's a lot of things, like I said, family, friends, hometown, like I said, my faith. There's a lot of things that inspire me off the field too, but it's also cool to know that there's people that, do look up to me, that do like me as the person that I am. And so just being able to see the lives that are changed just by paying attention to me and the way that I try to be and live, I think that's something that can also bring inspiration.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem, Miles.
Awesome. Thanks, Miles. Keep repping that hat. It looks great on you. Go Hawks. So, hey, Tyler, I got to ask this, right? I know your dad went to K-State, right? And, was a professional player as well. But if I'm not mistaken, if I remember this correctly, you broke all his records at K-State. Am I right? What was that like for you? What was, growing up, obviously following in your dad's footsteps, playing at K-State, and of course, breaking those records?
Yeah, well, I didn't really know how big it was until I broke all the records, because that's when I started to realize later on that he was number one in all of those records.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I was able to beat those records, granted, some of my bowl games got put in there and his never did, but I think I still beat him even without the bowl games. But just to be able to know that it kind of stayed in the family, I think that was something that was actually really cool. And like I said, it's almost like a family legacy, just being able to go there. My dad went there. My uncle went there. I just went there. My little brother just committed there. So he's on his way there.
That's right.
Just finished his senior season. So I think it's just a blessing just to be able to have that chance to break his record. But, if my dad wanted it to be anybody, then, it would have either had to be his brother or his son.
That's right. So now your little brother gets to chase you, right? He's been doing all his life. He's committed to K-State, and watch out, your records could go down. So that'd be awesome. So hey, we got one more fan question here. Let's welcome in Brandon, and Brandon's got a good looking hat on too. We finished strong. I like it. Brandon, how you doing? Got to turn your sound on there. Hopefully we can hear you here in just a second.
Good.
There we go. We got him now.
Hey, Brandon.
Hello. My question for you. Do you pray for the game?
Yeah. So as a team, we all pray. And like for me, I consider praying as, just talking to God. So yeah, I might not always close my eyes, but I think for me, like I said, when I go into games, I try to remind myself why I play this game so I don't get caught up in the politics and the business and the different aspects and layers that could be covered up, when it comes to football. But I also think it gives you that sense of peace and that sense of confidence in knowing who you are, and that you don't need a good game just to feel good about yourself, or you don't need people to pat you on the back or tell you how great you are just to feel good about yourself, it kind of reminds me that like everything I need is found in God. So yeah, I definitely try to make sure that I do pray a lot better than what I've been doing, and just try to go out there and be the best light that I could be, knowing that there's people that's watching me. And, you know, if I make mistakes, hey, it's about how do I pick myself up? If I'm doing great, it's about how can I continue to stay steadfast? How can I be able to still be humble and show humility in what I'm doing? Like, yeah, I could talk trash. You know what I mean? I could still do a lot of that different type of stuff, but how can I do it in a way that doesn't take away the person who I really am? You know, I don't want to lose myself when it comes to any of that stuff. I rather try to stay true to who I am and not lose myself.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon.
That's great. That's great. And hey, Tyler, you know, and you mentioned it there. You said, you know, you mentioned it in your response that, you know, you've got a lot of people watching you. What's kind of, you know, to wrap us up, what's the best piece of advice that you've been given? And we know that there'll be not only kids, but even adults out there that'll be that are watching this. What's the best piece of advice you'd be given that you'd love to pass along?
Well, usually I would tell people what Sherm said. Sherm kind of told me, like, you know, when I first got there, you're going to lose a lot in practice, but you'll win a lot in the games. And that's because we were going against some of the top defenses, but he was just in practice. But it was like, don't get caught up in losing in practice, because you'll realize that the games become that much more easier because you're going against the best of the best. Right. And so the games were easier. The practices were harder. The games were easy. Yeah. If I could give an advice that I heard yesterday watching this movie, this guy said, if you don't know who you are, then you'll always listen to who people tell you that you meant to be. And I thought that was kind of, cool. It wasn't in the best circumstance that he said that, but it was just like, I think it kind of hit it on the nail, that it was just kind of like, we have to be confident and we have to know who we are outside of all these things that we try to attach ourselves to. And so if we know who we are, we don't need any of these things that we think we need. And therefore, when people tell us who they think we're meant to be, we won't get caught up in their perception or their idea of who they think we should be, because we already know who we are on the inside. Yeah. Yeah, Tyler, that's great. That's awesome. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you, spending some time answering the fans' questions. I know I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well too. And I know the fans were tickled that you had the opportunity just to spend some time with them. So, fans, again, just another reminder: visit your local Pro Image Sports to shop New Era, the official on-field cap of the NFL. Thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Tyler.